everyone. I'm going to jump right in like a bold and fiery little spark and ask the main question of Mythic Mel podcast. Why did Demeter, ancient Greek goddess of agriculture, put a human baby, Demophon, in the fire? And how did that story inspire me to start researching the types of incense used in ancient Greece, and then go down the artisanal handmade resin rabbit hole, finding frankincense and myrrh incense, which is absolutely divine. No joke. But I'll tell you more about that a little bit later. But before I forget, the meaning of the word Demeter, the goddess's name, comes from an ancient Greek word for earth, D, and meter, or mother, also matrix, kind of matrice, the womb, generator of life. So of earth, of the womb. Think about the Empress in the tarot. Demeter is a powerful Mother Earth figure. I very much enjoyed unpacking the energies of this story, and I'm excited to bring it to you now and consider the fire baby question and the many textures of the fire element and how they play out in the story. And I promise to reveal what this infant in the flames might mean for our day-to-day life and spiritual practice. Speaking of names, I'm Melinda, host of Mythic Mel. I'm a body alchemist, and I teach my family legacy of belly dance and circus arts as a shape-shifting modality of loving self-connection, strength building, harmony. I weave cosmic forms and energies and embody. I'm also an oracle and tarot card reader and Reiki master, Qigong practitioner, operating out of my creative space, Speakeasy Reiki, and Moody Street Circus in Massachusetts. I translate myth from an elemental and energy work-centered lens. It's very imaginative and intuitive. And I'll be looking today at what myth reveals about how we use our fire and navigate emotions of sorrow, love, and gratitude. And I'll also be pointing out the healing states of consciousness in the myth of Demeter and Demophon, and draw conclusions on the impact of daily ritual on the soul. And finally, on a practical, fun, and down-to-earth level, I'll share how this myth suggested a beautiful ritual and guided me to a daily meditative practice with a certain imaginative journey aspect, which I'll share. And it also inspired some lovely sensual ideas for self-care, skincare even. So all of that from this one little slice of myth. Last but not least, I'll offer an experimental mythic fire baby tarot spread idea. You got that name? I'm calling it the Mythic Fire Baby Spread. You can try it out. Stay tuned for that later. And if you do it, let me know what comes through in the comments. I'd love to hear. But first, a little backstory about how I arrived at today's topic. I've been working with the wisdom of the elements, and I'm talking about air, fire, earth, water, and that intangible fifth element, ether, in terms of living a balanced life for some time now. I even became certified in the Energetic Oracle card as a card reader with Yolanda Williams. And for those of you watching the YouTube channel and not the podcast version, I will be holding up a card. You can always go look at the YouTube version if you want. Cards throughout this transmission today, which really are highlighting aspects of the myth. I thought that would be fun to weave them in. And so what I'm showing right now is a card called the Wise Ones. And that is the four elements and then the fifth element of ether. And the Wise Ones are very important in the deck because they give a clue as to how it is we can be magicians in our lives and really balance our lives and make them as grounded and fulfilling as they possibly can be. And so once we really understand our elements and come into good relationship with them all, and by them I mean your body, which is your earth, your mind, which is your air, your emotions, which are your water, and your motivations and passions and desires is your fire. You cultivate better relationships in your life overall and get into a more optimal flow of life force energy. It becomes easier to trust that you're making the highest and best choices for yourself and those around you when you really understand your elements. So it was natural that I would be drawn to looking at the elements in Greek myth, and the first one that leapt to mind was fire. And that's really no surprise because fire is like a rock star, Leo. Fire loves to leap out and take center stage and shine. So, with that being said, have you ever considered how you manage your own fire? Do you run hot or cold? What are your beliefs or understandings around this element and how they play out in your life? I'm showing the card that's in the realm of duality of the energetic alchemist deck, which is build and destroy. And that really shows a woman who is holding flames within her hands. And she has this enlightened consciousness of how to direct her flame. She's aware of whether she is using it to build or destroy. And it's a very powerful card and shows the real divine nature of fire. And we'll be coming back to that a little bit later, but fire really wants us to consider our motivations on why we make the choices we make. And do we use our fire to be curious and travel, explore, discover unfamiliar places? Do we use fire to be bold and courageous and inspire ourselves and others? Do we show up in our lives, with confidence, with our own solar power shining from our third chakra? Do you let your inner spark spur you to move your body, to stoke your metabolism, to stand in your authority and express your truths and create what you love? Do your warm words honor and build people up, or do they burn them down? How do you cultivate your glowing internal hearth? There's no right or wrong answer. It's just interesting to be in observation of fire. And as I said at the start, the fire connected myth that most captured my attention for this podcast is the story of Demeter and Demophon. And I chose this story because it highlights the spiritual side of fire. You may know goddess Demeter as the mother of Persephone, whose powerful story of becoming queen of the underworld is famous and layered with all that luscious dark goddess power. But we're going to save that incredible myth for another day. This story of Demeter putting the baby Demophon in the fire happens in that threshold moment between when the goddess is unable to find her daughter and doesn't know if she ever will again, and she's operating in a background state of great distress. And it's this difficult transitional state that is what intrigues me. Because the Demophon story is a lesson in how to keep keeping on, even when everything else has apparently gone to hell. The story goes that after the lord of the underworld, Hades, steals Persephone as she's out picking flowers and carries her down to his dark land of the dead domain, her mom Demeter searched for 9 days and nights before getting a shred of information. And there's that mystical number 9. 9 days of total darkness, 9 days of mystery, 9 days of not knowing, and yet still persevering. And during this time, Demeter is desperately going to all the gods, asking if they know anything about Persephone's whereabouts. She searches everywhere in the heavens for the young goddess whose father was that electric bolt generator of so many lives, Zeus. After the first 9 days of total mystery, information surfaces. We find out that the moon goddess Hecate had heard Persephone's cries when she was snatched away. But only one god had actually witnessed what had happened to Persephone, and that was Helios, the sun god. He sees all as his golden chariot makes its way across the sky. So one aspect of what was hidden now comes to light, that Hades took Persephone to his shadow kingdom below the earth, but we still don't know what's going on with her down there. There's no communication, they didn't have texts, and the sun can't illuminate that realm. So for the time being, Demeter is still greatly suffering, and she knows one aspect of the truth, but Zeus refuses to intervene in the story, and there's a lot still in obscurity as Persephone endures her own challenges and has to now navigate her way without her mother's help in the shadowy realm. So how does Demeter still go on with her days while feeling like crap and not knowing the full story? This dramatic situation, though it's mythic and huge, in many ways feels like challenges in life that we can all relate to. Sudden change is thrust on us and we didn't see it coming. Sometimes we are waiting in the dark and we just have to trust that the sun is going to shine again and we'll understand our situation better. Or we might endure loss or separation from loved ones. Sometimes we have to release trying to control others, maybe take a step back and let our loved ones manage their own lives, even if it's not how we would do it. In any case, there are times when we just have to figure out how to carry on, how to put one foot in front of the other and keep moving, even when things don't feel like they're going our way. It's that twisty feeling when no one agrees to help you, even though theoretically they have the power to do so. That's where Demeter is finding herself. And in case all of that conversation brought up any discomfort for you, let's bring the magic of 9 to this moment. 9 seconds of sitting still to notice how your in-breath and out-breath moves through your body to nourish you. Or maybe 9 minutes of physical activity to channel excess energy. Or 9 repetitions of the mantra, "This too shall pass," to remember universal wisdom keys and to remember that your trials could be over as suddenly as they began. So this is the energetics of where Demeter finds herself at the start of the story where I want to talk about. So though she is a goddess deeply connected to Earth, Demeter has at this point of the story expressed a lot of fire. She's highly motivated, which is a fire energy. She's persistent and disciplined in her search for Persephone. She's open to new information from the sun. She gets angry at Zeus and is not afraid to express her fire. She's pissed at the gods, who either cannot or will not help her. And she's bitter with grief and pain of separation from her beloved daughter. So she leaves the realm of Mount Olympus and she wanders the mortal world in the form of an old woman. Her routine is disrupted, but she doesn't stay stuck in place wallowing. She follows some inner prompting to keep moving and keep the channel open. That really is the fire element. In the meantime, she uses her will, another aspect of fire, to stop the crops from growing on earth. During her time of darkness and separation from Persephone, the wheat withers, fruit dies on the vine, humanity begins to starve. Fall, and then winter comes. And then meanwhile, Persephone cycles through her mysterious transformation in the underworld, mythically preparing the soil for spring and summer, when she'll finally surface above earth. But we don't know that's going to happen at this point. We aren't sure there'll be a happy reunion. We have no idea that spring will come. Demeter is in her winter time, emotionally. And she happens by a place called Eleusis and sits to rest on a stone, which is later called the Unsmiling Stone, near a freshwater well. While she's there, 4 girls come to draw water from the well. And it's interesting to note here how in numerology, the number 4 is about stabilizing and conservation. So this is a place to shore up energy reserves. And it turns out that these 4 are sisters, the daughters of the king and queen of Eleusis. And they bring Demeter, disguised as an old woman, back to the palace where she's welcomed. And there she offers her services as a nurse to the youngest son of the royal couple. And I want to point out that in the midst of the darkest and saddest period of her life, separated from her dearest loved one, Demeter offers herself, nevertheless, in service to care for someone else. She doesn't stay ranting at Zeus on Mount Olympus. She doesn't crawl under a rock. She goes on a journey, and an opportunity presents itself where she sees she can make herself useful and nurturing to others. And she does. And no one has any idea she's a great goddess with an aching heart, the daughter of Titans, Kronos and Rhea. No one has any idea that her daughter Persephone has just been swallowed up in the underworld. So the goddess stays in the palace caring for the child. She's not smiling. She's barely drinking. She's not eating. Until one day, one of the more sunshiny servants manages to make the old lady laugh by telling jokes. And this is a detail of the story that goes unnoticed. But for me, this humble castle worker is in many ways the hero of the story. So this is another sort of fire, the fire medicine of laughter. And anything that transforms from one state to another has some fire in it. And lighthearted humor shared with another can be a kind and wonderful magician. So just imagine this inner light of the humble servant who is the goddess's co-worker in the castle. And she chooses to meet the unsmiling face of the old woman with her own sweet radiance and gentle jokes. She doesn't frown to mirror the woman's pain our cold expression. She doesn't reject her or steer clear of her. She brings light and lightness of heart. And it highlights the choice we all have when we meet a face that appears to be unfriendly and cold. We can recognize that we have no idea what's going on with people under the surface, and that very possibly underneath that negative exterior hides a very sad story that we may never know, or is covering some great pain. We don't need to know the full story in order to stay in our compassion. We can choose to soften and to gaze with reiki eyes, or to breathe with compassionate breath. And that's what allows energy to move and shift to occur. So if we could, like this servant girl in the castle, choose to bring patience, good humor, understanding, and gentle care rather than avoidance, anger, mockery, gossip, or judgment, transformation could occur. And things will get better rather than worse. This casual laughter medicine sparked something in Demeter, disguised as Demophon's nurse, as a mortal, and it sweetened up a bit of her sour spirit and released some of it. Her ice energy melted, and she smiled, and she allowed herself to share a happy moment with another person. So now Demeter is experiencing a new feeling in her grief cycle. Despite all the pain she feels, after laughing with someone else, something in her shifts and gratitude seeps in. And feeling grateful for the hospitality she's receiving at the palace, Demeter decides she'll do the king and queen a favor and make their son immortal, like the gods. She tells no one, but every night she holds the child close to her goddess bosom, gently blowing on him the breath of immortality, and carefully smearing his little body all over with ambrosia, which is the fragrant, sweet, timeless nectar of the gods. It's the gods' food, possibly made of honey and divine herbs, though no one knows for sure. But in any case, it's divinely delicious, it's lovely smelling, and they put it on bodies like perfume or massaged it into mortal skin to give immortality or protection. Ambrosia was said to have been brought to the gods on Mount Olympus by a flock of doves. In any case, Demeter places the baby anointed with ambrosia, anointed by her goddess breath, in the fire to burn off his mortal aspects and transform him into a timeless god. And this ritual went on every night for some time. Sit and rock the baby near the hearth. Hold him close to heart. Gently blow goddess breath on him. Massage ambrosia into skin, head to foot. Place him in the fire as Demeter sits beside him in goddess power silence. But then one evening, the queen, the mother of the baby, happens by, and she notices what she thinks is the nanny roasting her son to a crisp. And so she freaks out, snatching Demophon out of the fire in a panic. And who can blame her? But all is not what it seems when a goddess is present. So because it is Demeter putting the baby in the fire for divine transformation, we understand that the conditions are not ordinary here. But the mother doesn't know that. She reacts with fear, anger, worry, all the mortal parts that weigh our hearts, the parts that Demeter is trying to transmute. And again, who can blame her? But this fire is not like most. Its essence has shifted consciousness, and it's become spiritual fire. And this part of the story highlights the ethereal nature of fire. In the presence of the goddess's sacred intention to immortalize the child, the flames are not mortal in the same way. They're not your average flame in the fireplace. They've shifted into their spiritual purifying aspect. And the baby, feeling the love and totally trusting his nurse in all of his innocence, receives the healing aspects of fire in an altered divine state. He's been, again, covered in the breath of the goddess. He's been rubbed with the elixir of the gods. And it's like he's in a dream. And it's just the fear and doubt, worry eyes of the mother who sees with this limited mortal vision only the destructive aspects of fire that interrupts the sacred transmutation going on. Limited human view doesn't understand the divine vision before her. So this is highlighting that everything is not always what it seems, and that our limited human understanding could benefit from opening awareness to a larger view in most cases. Back to the scene, though. Demeter is not at all happy that her ritual has been interrupted, and she stands tall now, revealing herself as the goddess, her true resplendent form, and she tells them who she is, and they're amazed. And while she says Demophon can no longer be made immortal, the goddess assures everyone that he'll still be very blessed in his lifetime. She explains to everybody what she was trying to do, and she demands recognition, which is also part of the fire element. She demands respect and instructs the royal family to build a temple for her and an altar that is to be placed near the well where she first sat and the four sisters discovered her. And the family is awestruck and honored and does exactly what the goddess asked. And that is this basic story of Demeter and Demophon, the baby in the fire. And we could just move on from there, but I want to sit with it just a little bit longer. In this kind of altered ambrosia consciousness, as if it were a dream. And in our dream, we are all the baby Demophon, and we are all the goddess, and we all have access to the sacred fire. It is all within us and around us, and we can all unlayer conditioning and open ourselves up to the innocence and splendor of our true hearts. And we can all take time in the spiritual flame to feel blessed by Demeter with the gift of our lives and our bodies. So take this story as a message from the goddess to set up a sacred daily practice. Just as she asked the royal couple to build a temple in her honor, you can designate an altar space in your apartment, in your home. It could even be a tiny corner. It could be a windowsill. It's just a place for yourself to sit by daily and to surrender your ego and mortal attachments and blend with your divine nature and merge with your higher self. So here's the ritual to connect with the energy of this myth. First, you'll prepare yourself by cleansing in a bath or a shower, and have your drinking water on hand, because water is really beneficial to move energy and cleanse and clear your system. And that water is a nod to Demeter's sacred well, where she asked her altar to be constructed. Exfoliate your skin to prepare it for the ambrosia. Next, Anoint your slightly damp body in your favorite oil, your own version of ambrosia. So maybe you know someone, a mystic maker in your community who blends her own or his own natural oil essence, or you can create your own. Trader Joe's sells jojoba oil, which is a good carrier oil, and you can mix in a few drops of essential oil of a scent you love. And then you're going to take the time and the care to apply this oil lovingly to every part of your body in appreciation for your mortal form. Skin is a part of your immune system. It cushions you. It regulates your body temperature. It helps you feel hot and cold. So use the time to appreciate your skin. It's nurtured by Demeter herself. She has dominion over all growing things on earth. That protects you from pathogens, your skin, and it's the largest organ of your body. And it's just so sensitive and sensual and amazing. Skin responds to your life, and it makes room for you as you grow from baby to mature adult, connects you to earth. Skin has its own kind of intelligence and a wisdom that deserves recognition and loving touch. And as you massage the oil into your body with the mindful intention of being kind and loving to yourself, as if you were caring for the most precious baby, imagine yourself blessed by Demeter. And the truth is, we are all blessed by her every time we take time to notice the gifts of earth or eat any of her fruits. So at this point, you are glowing. Your self-massage has initiated the highest frequency of love and self-care. You go to your altar and prepare your fire. Strike the match. This is the ignition switch for your sacred work, and you light your candle. And you take your time to set your scene and enjoy it. Burn that wonderful smelling incense as an offering to the gods. As I mentioned, the ancient Greek gods prefer frankincense and myrrh. And try this ritual for 9 days. Notice what happens. Set your meditation timer for 9 minutes. Take time to settle your body, to breathe. Create the right frequency of peace and calm, and surrender your analytical mind into a more divine state of consciousness. And in the ritual, you can close your eyes and imagine yourself as the innocent baby of the myth. Picture the purifying flames blessing you, burning away the mortal aspects, fears, doubts, and worries. And remember your own innocence before all the layering of worry and projections of others. This magic, timeless realm is still here, accessible to you in your state of ambrosia. Just imagine and contemplate how you want to use and manage your fire as you're in your meditation. And close the ritual with the mantra, "My entire being feels blessed and held by the goddess Demeter. I give thanks for my life and the gifts I've been given. Help me make medicine for my gifts for the highest good of all." And then, if you want and you have time, journal about what came up for you, the feelings, the images, the resistances, the thought forms. Use a fire-safe cauldron and be very careful with fire. Don't leave any flames unattended. Write wishes down on small pieces of paper and burn these petitions to release prayers, blessings, desires, or intentions. And know that these will be carried to the goddess or your guides and your angels. All these intangible, unseen, high vibration energies that want to assist you and are waiting to be asked, since you have free will. This is our one and only life in this incarnation with the current consciousness we hold. And we have a right to use fire to transform what is heavy in our hearts and to burn away old paradigms that don't work any longer and harness spiritual fire magic for yourself and your life. Your analytical mind needs a rest from time to time, and your intuition, which is often so subtle that it's just a whisper, deserves to be heard. And then practical wisdom from the myth, even if you don't always feel like it, offer a small smile in meditation as you think of one thing you're grateful for. We know it's been proven that laughter yoga works by shifting states of consciousness. And if you can generate even a small smile, even if you fake it, it will still radiate all through your body. Every cell smiling in a cascade of ripples through your system. Smile as you imagine and embody the energy of the loving goddess and the innocent baby breathing together in a warm embrace. And then after meditation, try my mythic fire baby spread of tarot. And here it is. It's a 4-card pull. Mythic Mel's fire baby spread. First card is in the space of, it's a card of divine connection. How might the divine support and bless me today? How might I make medicine of my divine gifts today? That's card 1. Number 2, what is the energy around my daily practice today? My daily altar sit. Number 3, purification. What, if any, of my heart-heavy mortal energies need purification today? Where can I release some burden, some fear, doubt, or worry from my heart and trust the goddess will take that from me and help me lift? And number 4, the fire element. How do I want to recognize, direct, or manage my fire energy today? And then you can look at the bottom of the deck for an overall message from your guides. And you can free write about it. That means you just, without thinking, you just write as much as you can. You set a timer for 9 minutes. It's the magic 9. Or speak it out loud to yourself in a voice memo. But these are some simple prompts from the goddess Demeter and the Demophon story. And just, even if you can't do any of that, you can smile at somebody without expecting a smile in return. Or you could laugh at yourself in a loving way. Or you could soften your eyes against someone else's anger and wish them well. Or you could breathe and feel this nurturing light and notice wonderful air or breeze, or offer gratitude every morning and evening for some simple thing. Just be consistent. Things will shift. So I hope you've enjoyed the energy of Demeter and Demophon as much as I have. Let me know if you tried out any of the ritual, or if the tarot spread validates your inner knowing in any way or helps you direct your fire. And as always, take what resonates here and leave the rest. And I hope you can really embrace your fire and cultivate its best use to shine your light, enjoy your life. So thanks for listening to Mythic Mel on Awakening Airwaves. Please like and subscribe so our podcast universe can grow. And visit speakeasyreiki.com to find out more about my services. And thank you all so much for listening and learning a little bit more about Demeter and the Fire Baby. Take care, everyone.